Hello Cheapsters, it's Gav. Welcome to another one of my videos. Today we're having a look at these 28mm War of the Spanish Succession figures. These are French infantry of the Le Reine regiment. These are Ebor Miniatures, 28mm metal figures, obviously unpainted originally. Spanish Succession was fought 1701 to 1713. The Le Reine regiment, red stockings, socks, whatever you want to call them, red cuffs, red inside the jacket, blue waistcoat. Some people have shown blue breeches as well, and others have shown them just the undyed woolen grey, and that's how I decided to show them, just because it merges in a bit otherwise. They have silver buttons or pewter buttons, silver for the officers, but these are all private soldiers, and like a non-metallic ribbon around the tricorn. So I've painted it non-metallic rather than metallic, and then washed it over. Everything else is metallic, but I wanted to give the non-metallic ribbon look. I will say, when I was researching this, as I say, I've got the number 50 in the series, the Armies of the War of the Sun King, 1643 to 1715, Volume 2, which is the infantry of Louis XIV, and that's from written by René Chartrand, and it's in the Helian Company press. Now, I did look at the 6mm company backers who actually get my World War II figures off, and I've got other stuff in the past off them. They have a painting guide for War of the Spanish Succession. Now, the De La Reine regiment, they're shown in brass, so which is how I painted them, rather than, because I'm just going through my book, I didn't get to the page where they actually have a description of the De La Reine regiment, and it's a historical abstract from a piece of work, and it says they've got pewter buttons and like the non-metallic type band for the hat. And like most regiments, of most of them, not all, but a lot of regiments from different countries of that period, it matters what colour the buttons are. Now, colonels would change when they took over a regiment. They had to provide the clothing and stuff. Usually the government would provide the firearms, but the accoutrements and the clothing would be provided by the colonel, usually out of his own pocket, but with a stipend given from the regiment, from the government to the colonel to outfit his regiment, and which is why, especially in the British Army, for years, often uniforms were so shoddy, because the colonel would it was part of the perks of the job. You take off money off the top, you go to the cheapest supplier, save yourself how many pounds, and in 1600s that would be a lot of money. So quite often things would, like your shoes would fall apart within 3 or 4 weeks on the march. So yeah, buttons are important, hence the rivet counters for vehicles and button counters in figures. But yeah, lovely figures from Ebor. Well impressed with them. The only thing I haven't done, and they were saying they got red lace on, and if you want to put lace on any of these, obviously they couldn't put lace on because some regiments had lace on the shoulders and some didn't. The De La Reine regiment did, so I have got to go back and paint those. I mean, they're not varnished yet anyway, but I've got to go back and paint some lace on. You could leave it off. I mean, nobody's going to... All right, then what am I saying? This is uniforms. People will rake you over the coals. But yeah, I will paint some lace on those. They had like 2 or 3 loops of lace on either. I think it was either shoulder. I don't know. I've got some photographs at the end But yeah, really nice figures, very enjoyable. Only the 4 painted. It's not a big unit, 18 figures. I say, as much as I love this period, I'll put these up for sale, and if they do sell, it'll fund another unit for myself probably. But it's one of my it's one of the periods in history I like. I like the wars between King William of Orange, or the Prince of Orange, and which was a long-term enemy of Louis XIV, and Louis XIV's wars himself. Again, for the period, you know, fairly simple uniforms and accoutrements for the soldiers. You can decorate these cartridge boxes, can be decorated. They would sometimes stitch more leather on the front and on the sides and just tart them up a bit, but I've just given them the basic, and this is like a wooden flask, powder flask, for the fine powder that would go in the priming pan of the musket. And by this time, the actual, as they call the Wars of the Sun King, they were, and for that matter, William of Orange, they obviously started mainly with muskets that were fired by the old fuse, which has escaped me at the moment, but you know what I mean, with a rest, and they were still using pike, although in a smaller numbers. But by this time, in the War of Spanish Succession, most of the floppy hats had gone away to tricorns and different forms of flint-fired musket. But really nice figures to paint. I've set 2 on another 4. There's only 2 grenadiers because such a small battalion. Well, small number of figures, 18. You only need 2 grenadiers, and they're actually up next. I've given them a warm grey rather than the usual either whiter look or the cold grey. You know, there's sky grey in there as well, which is what a lot of people start with. But I like to mix it with a warm rock type grey. And this is a guy with paint at the moment, not a grenadier, it's Fusilier, the same as this guy. I may, because I'm not painting from bottles, I mix the grey up. There's always going to be a very slight difference. Sometimes I add a bit of darker colours if I think it needs it. And I might do it on these next lot, but I don't get overly worked up about it, you know, as long as it's in the ballpark. So, yeah, if you're going to use that Bacchus guide, obviously things change. That might be absolutely correct. I'm not saying it's not. I'm only going on the 2 historical sources I've read. They were pewter buttons. So as I say, to people that aren't into painting uniforms and that, you know, it might not mean a lot. Pewter, brass, what's it matter? But it's usually also a way you can tell some units just by the button colours. So it does matter. So yeah, just do your research. That's all I'm saying. I say that could be perfectly correct, but I decided to go with the pewter. I know they're often seen in artworks later on in the because they were then sent to the Americas, into New France, which is obviously Canada now. And they fought us in New France, stroke Canada, and they were shown all the artwork I've seen of those, which is more prolific than the earlier times. They were in pewter and like the silvery lace on the tricorn. So thank you very much for stopping by and taking a look. I just thought I'd give that a quick look, see what we're up to. So there's only the 4 done, only a unit of 18. Should have done the 6 because some base them as 6s. Hey, but I don't know why. I painted these as 4s, so I just had asked, the first couple will be 4 and the other one will be 6 or whatever. So yeah, I've still got to I'm just going to try and pick one up. I will probably convert these to hard wire so they're not so bendy. Nothing you can do about it, as in from the manufacturer. It's white metal, it's always slightly bendy. But I'll probably try and replace that, drill that out, so we can still keep this piece. And, you know, insert a piece of wire in the base. And the same with the halberd for the sergeant of his staff of office, more or less. That will probably be slightly harder to do, but we'll try it. Try putting a piece of wire in. It's not as bad, this one. It's quite short, so you could get away with it. But in for a penny, in for a pound. So if we're going to do the other two, we might as well try and have a go at this as well. So thank you very much. Next video up. Hopefully, I'm having a few hours tomorrow finishing off the M10 Achilles for the D-Day group build hosted by Charlie Mack. If I get a chance tomorrow, we'll get the figures for the crew for that done as well. We've got some building work starting on Thursday, so videos will be as and when. I won't be able to be at my desk for a couple of days, which is going to really affect me. And I can't paint downstairs, so I'll be back up here in the evenings. But during the daytime, for at least for the first couple of days, while they're drilling and banging and all the rest of it, I'll be downstairs, and I'll probably get, is it Shelby GT 350 I've got from AMT. I thought I'll just prep the body up and everything of that. I can't do anything else. I can't start moving lamps around and everything, but I thought I might just take that downstairs and have a play with that. Because there's a lot of flash on that, so I just thought I might as well prep that up, because I can't work on old Tom's downstairs. I can't do anything else. So for a couple of days, there'll still be about another week after that, but for the first couple of days it'll be pretty horrific with Hilties going and goodness knows what. So yeah, we'll have videos up as and when, really. So thank you very much for stopping by and taking a look. Highly recommended figures. It's a period I like particularly, but even if I didn't, I'd still recommend them. I've got no ties to Ebor whatsoever. Bought these myself, but they were fairly clean. Only the usual mould lines you get with any figure, but they weren't. You know, the moulds haven't suffered or anything like that. They're really nice figures. And I like the other figures they do as well in the range, and they do League of Augsburg, which is another. I like all that period, you know, from the literally from the Monmouth Rebellion really up to the end of the war, Spanish Succession. So thank you very much. Look after yourselves, and we'll see each other very soon on another video.